Welcome to Gajali. Today we have with us one of the most important Indian artists whom I admire greatly. He comes from a state which is not particularly known for contemporary art. It is known more for the temples and lovely beaches, Orissa. And he clings to art like an Australian panda clings to a eucalyptus tree. Is Jagannath Panda, one of the most important Indian artists. He's here in Goa to judge a very interesting festival which we are organizing at MOG, which is called Goa Affordable Art Fest. He and Bhavana Kakkar are here to judge the entries, and we are very grateful to the Park Hotel for allowing us to use their space here. Park Hotel has always been very much connected with art, and the owners, Priya Paul, has a lot of collection of works by us and by different artists from all over the country. So, Jagannath, welcome to this program.
Thank you, Subodh. Thank you for inviting me here.
And let us begin with not many artists from Orissa have reached the kind of heights in Indian art scene like you have done. Let's start with where did you do your art education? How did it happen that you went into art?
See, my early art education was in Bhubaneswar. It's called BK College of Art and Craft. Under the guidance of Dr. Dinanath Pathe, I learned under him, and there's many teachers. So through the time I learned different kind of skill of technique and execution of different art materials and all. So then I moved to Baroda in 92 to 94, and then I deepened my understanding towards contemporary art. And my early education in Orissa and Baroda give me immense possibilities of thinking how we can think and explore our art practice.
So that's precisely what I'm impressed with by your work, because I basically believe that art is not a function of skill; it is a function of intellect. Now, this your reading habit, perhaps thinking habit. When did you cultivate that? Because many artists, young artists, feel that to be able to draw is to become an artist, or to be able to sculpt to become an artist. No, it's a lot of thought which goes into it. So where did that come from?
Look, my early education with the Bhubaneswar, I got a lot of skill with understanding on how to make things happen. Through that, I understand, known on only using the material, the energy, but I never consciously understand how I can explore it. But in Baroda, give a lot of depth about material and thinking that can go together and create art objects. Later on, I moved to Japan and
How
London.
did that happen? You got a 2 years scholarship to go to Japan.
It's a 6-month Japan Foundation fellowship. It was like 97 to 98. So basically, this program what I propose to travel around Japan, work with the Japanese artists, and see the Japan culture. So it was an amazing experience for me. It's like a window to the West. Physically, I see a lot of artworks of the Western artists, which I've been reading through
Japan
the books.
Japan is actually Eastern artist, but because
yeah.
it's of course very, very Western in their thought.
But,
exactly.
Exactly, because they have so many museums and the great deal of Western art and Asian arts together. So that was really give a insight to.
So what did Dinanath Patki teach you? What did he introduce you to?
See, basically, if I say if I can tell in one way, he gave me a lot of strength to believe yourself an artist, the confidence. So also he given a little wider understanding about what's happening around the world, and how it is important to go out and learn and understand and explore your understanding about art world. From the skill to techniques and giving opportunity in different way, it was really amazing.
Now, in your Japan experience, there must have been one kind of a conflict. Uh, if you go to Bhubaneswar, you are sort of faced with such intricate carvings and so many things. Then you go to Japan and you perhaps learn minimalism. So, what did Japan teach you?
Well, it's an Asian country because the belief systems are, somewhere deep rooted, our thinking process.
Yeah.
So the Shinto culture is almost the way the believing that the energy and the power is every object and everything, from the water or a tree or a sky or anywhere. So those experiences are really amazing because you go through immense understanding of decorative concern. Even the Odissan art also, there's a lot of conceptual value to it. And then Japan also have a similar culture. So even Japan understanding, I can say that it's very contemporary. It's given have a more.
Now, in Japan, one of the things which you did after coming back was this letter. Like there was this idea of writing a letter in the form of art, and you did some of the works in the form of letters. So please tell us about that.
Oh, well, I visited a couple of exhibitions in Japan, especially I like the Onkawara as one of my favorite artists, because the Onkawara's date paintings are really influenced me in my early career of work. So one of Onkawara's work, he was talking about sending postcard to when he traveled to different country. He used to send a postcard to their friends and talk about what time he waked up. He was talking about a timing and it's a consciousness and all that. So after finish my Japan experience, I'm coming back to Delhi and about to move to Orissa. There was biggest calamity happened in Orissa, cyclone in 1998. In that context, I started to talk about how my gain experience. There was a sense of enthusiasm to tell about the story about my experience, and one way I was been suddenly engaged with organizing, all these relief funds for the victim of Orissa. So by those two aspects, there's a major thought was come about the food and house is a idea. So I started making a conceptual series of drawing, which almost looks like a postcard, and a couple of text and collage. It means like it can be reproduced and sent to the people.
So this is very interesting because there is another poet from your land. His name is Haldar Nag. This Haldar Nag's poetry is in the form of a letter to himself. मैं तुम्हें खत लिख रहा हूँ हलदार. That's what he says. Recently a wonderful film is made about it. So your letters are in a way contemplation, writing a letter to yourself.
Exactly, exactly. Even there was a lot of collage. I remember I used a Japanese gardener, the Jain gardener, and how it is relevant to reconstruct the landscape of Odisha. So in that context, I started using Gandhi, the Japanese gardener, Jain gardeners, and these are the iconography through the letter as a enveloping, as a framing it whole ideas, and started to talk about this.
I would like you to speak about one more work. The first work which you did when you came back from Japan was a little piece of wood with a hole in it, a mirror, and the skin of an animal.
Well, that I was that time I was exploring a lot of possible material. So this mirror was a part of my everyday, use object. I didn't bought a mirror and then I'm putting this mirror to see myself, and slowly the seeing myself every morning, slowly became a art object. I was looking in another self, also myself, and then I put a text as I called a God, and put an animal skin in it. So there's a two-person having conversation every day.
Almost like Haldar Nag, yes.
Yeah. So that became a slowly one way it was my everyday utility object, and slowly it turned into a art object.
Okay, please tell us now. Materials interest you very much, and another work which you did, which suddenly shot you into the prominence, was this carving with a stone. And you claim that you started carving the stone as if it is a stone from Ellora, from going from the top to the bottom. So please talk about that work.
Well, that work, the previous work,
Previous
when
work,
I finished my Baroda
Baroda,
time and then come back to Odisha. That time I was constantly using as stone and wood as material, ceramic as material. So there was a strong language with the Balbi Singh court, Raghav Kanedia, everybody has established, carving the stone. So I was seeing how we break that and where we can lead that story to another level. So I started to carving the stone as I'm doing a drawing in my chachijal. And through that process, I started to create a drawing and the forms from the surface top to bottom. Also in reference to Ellora, Ellora is like a temple we say that carving the temple from the top to bottom and then creating whole the architectures and sculptures around it. So,
okay, so now from coming from Japan, you started doing this postcard series. You used a lot of images of Gandhi. You used a lot of images connected with the devastation of Bhubaneswar and of Orissa because of the cyclone, and then you go to London. So you get another scholarship. I think the young artists will be very interested in sort of this process of applying for this kind of fellowships, which take you to different places and which open doors for you. So can you talk a little bit about this process of applying and getting these scholarships which you got, the fellowships which you got?
see, that time, we had a few scholarship, one Charles Wallace Commonwealth Scholarship and the INLAX Foundation. So I applied couple of time INLAX, but because INLAX process are very intense, it goes through a time like a shortlisting. So 2-3 time I didn't get through the second chance. So then finally after coming back to Japan, my new series of work helped me because the kind of language I started to explore through the collage and minimalistic drawing and watercolors and all together, and we naturally evolved another kind of language which lead to got a INLAX scholarship. Then I joined Royal College of Art, London for 2 years MA program, and that gave me another window to see European art history and European art practice. Even the college itself as a means resource to learn and explore material and thinking practice together.
So one of the most important work you did in London was the spear. And then you were also learning English or improving your English in your studies in London. And so the dictionary became a part of your day-to-day. It became your Bible, the dictionary, and the spear. So just talk about this work with the spear and the dictionary.
Being at the student at Royal College, I started to explore everything possibility. Anything come my way became it became a language or the art objects for me. By reading the illustrated dictionary, or I'm using fabric or anything, I started to use the words in my drawing. And slowly drawing, I thought, why not I can explore these ideas of text became a object when we pronounce each words, how they changes, how they create a meaning. One is which is metaphysical and also the physical level. So then I got a big old dictionary, illustrated dictionary in the market, and then start cutting each text, each word, and pasting around the spear. So the way I pasted it, the text became more like a material, and almost like the spear is moving. It's like moving the image and this words, and which lead to got me like a award called Century.
You got an award of 8,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you come back and you move to Gurgaon, and then you are faced with this massive construction and development in Gurgaon. And in your work, you sort of respond to the construction site, which Gurgaon is. Then you have the physical, the metaphysical, and the mythological. So you make a combination in your work of the physical, metaphysical, and the mythological. The mythological part perhaps comes a little bit from your education with Patki, the Nanath Patki ji, so with the tribal artists to involve that. So then all your series of work after that has been sort of a work which is sort of a response to your experiences using all these different. So let's talk about a few works like you started with, for example, let's start with this work where we have the kind of a sage sitting on a construction site. It's a very interesting, striking image with a crow which is attached to this rod. So please talk about this work.
So this is called democracy of neighborhood. My experience being in Gurgaon was a shocking surprise for me. The kind of development happening. Kind of people are migrating into land and building their own nest, and rapid scale construction, and one of fastest growing city in India. So I was meeting with the different people around in my neighborhood. So they're from different part of India, even abroad, and they're coming with their own utopias. So they are all economical migrant. They wanted to come and earn the money. So they're building a new culture. So what tensions is happening around this different utopias, and what are the new utopias are building around. My works talked about that. Then what I did, I moved to painting, which the painting has a very spontaneous language. I can tell multiple stories, multiple narratives, which can be talked about this migrations and development and dichotomy of the rural, urban, so physical, non-physical aspect of our imagination, our daily life. So being on a part of this whole development, I became a witness to it, and it became a participant to whole this system of development. And then I started to create like a diary. Every day I go out, and whatever I say in my everyday experience, I come back to studio, start painting, narrating. Building a kind of narration in multiple layers of a story, which is maybe abstract to
you are almost kind of there's a wonderful definition of art. Art is supposed to be the whisper of an era, of a time. And artists are supposed to be receptors and transmitters of ideas of a time, of an era. And you are virtually doing exactly that, almost like a dictionary meaning. So you draw from your experiences with what is happening around you, and that comes into your work of art. Now, talking about migration, another work which I really loved and which is striking is this large peacock which you did. Now, this is a large scale sculpture of a peacock, but with the multi-layered meanings of migration and all the other issues which concern you. So please talk a little bit about this work.
See, the first, when I back from London, I started living in an urban village. It's called Ayanagar.
Yeah.
So it's a small farmhouse. The first my encounter happened with the peacock. So I lived there almost like 2 years. And I was seeing that the peacock has a very important element in Haryana, Rajasthan, and Delhi, and you've not been seeing them because of rapid urbanizations taking the space and sinking the the forest land and all. This whole process, I thought I'm looking at this creature which has a mythological representation, the spirit of youth and the spirit of dimension when they talk about India is growing, rising and all. Yeah. And in the same time, this creatures has losing their ground. So these two thoughts, I created a series of painting and sculptures. And then especially the work you were referring is, I called it the ancestor. So can this the bird can be our ancestor. It's a beautiful bird with a lot of energy, and we associated with youthfulness. It's always connected with the Kartikeya, the youthful energy, and because many of my works are raising a question through a language. One started viewer encounter with my work, and the work started to reverse back and start many questions to the viewer. By seeing in a different narrative or different.
A peacock, for example, is a peacock getting extinct in like today we have a huge extinction rebellion happening all over the world, and your peacock is getting extinct, but the way you have used the drawings and the decorative elements on the body of the peacock is with reference to the forests which are disappearing, with the greenery which is disappearing.
Yes, yes, that is the kind of garden I created on the body. Because if you see, coming back in 2004-5 onwards, I started using the fabric is very important element in my work. So then I created the peacock and covered with the fabric, and different fabric and different motif of the fabrics became a one, that became a narration. The body of peacock became a, the story of itself.
Okay, talking about fabrics now, there are two works which I really love from this series. One work is the snake.
Yeah, I called it dark river, the dark river.
The dark river. So you have used fabric and part of the snake.
Yes.
Yes. And it is done with sewage pipes.
Yes, it's a storage pipe. Basically, I fascinated with using multiple material and their meaning to our present time, because if you see, if you change the material and put it in a different perspective, it gives an immense possibility to think different aspect of it, and it's completely changes language. So I was building my studio, and then I've been seeing that the storage pipe inside the ground all over the not only here but all over the city, and generally what we use, all our wastewater goes to the river, and there was a lot of discussion happen around how to use wastewater, because not to throw in the Yamuna. So this particular dark river is a reference to the Yamuna, and you see many of my works talked about mythology and present time together, in a balancing in space. So it's referred to a Kalia, and then there's a butterfly which represents the momentum of love or the purities or something.
And what about the rhino? Rhino with a foot on the suitcase.
Oh, that was much later, in 2015, and also in 2010-11 I did two rhinoceros sculptures. It was again talk about how this oldest creature in India, living creature in India, standing in between the forest and encroacher. Even the people start encroaching the Kaziranga forest, and what happens sometimes rhino and the people have a fight, and so that's kind of political.
So in a way,
and,
that suitcase represents also the monetary gains which people get
exactly.
by deforestation.
Exactly.
So it's a very
exactly.
telling work.
Telling about this whole the Babu culture, about the suitcase culture, and how this rhinoceros, putting the step by saying that the life is the bigger than this ideas of business.
So well, now to end with, we will talk about another great initiative which you started. You started your own foundation, which is doing this Bhubaneswar Art Trail. Now the first edition of Bhubaneswar Art Trail happened in Bhubaneswar. This is perhaps the first time that you introduce the people of Bhubaneswar to the contemporary art. And it's a great initiative. So please speak about this initiative with Bhubaneswar Art Trail.
So before that, I will talk about my foundation a bit. In 2012, I formed a foundation in Orissa, because I feel it's urgent need of having creating a space where multiple genre of practice can come and explore their thought and ideas, and how the different genres can have a dialogue. That is what I felt like missing in Bhubaneswar for many years. The filmmakers, artists, writers, poets are not intermingling. So that's why this foundation I started with the help of some of my artist friends in Orissa, also from India. And this foundation in 2017 took an initiative asking government that if there's a smart city project happen, how the art can take a greater role, become a part of it. So then we said, why not we propose you some seminars, or like imagining or a visionary seminar, so that a couple of ideas we can come out of.
Yeah, I think we are running out of time. So please, we'll give you half a minute. You could talk about the Bhubaneswar Art Trail. Yeah.
Okay, so Art Trail in Bhubaneswar we selected a city as Old Town, with a lot of ancient temple architectures and all there, and most oldest people are living around almost like 100 years, and we feel like we're going to give this art trail inside the Old Town and bringing contemporary art into the people, and placing such a way the everyday people can realize and see the contemporary art, because generally people are not accessing the gallery and all that. So we invited like a 24-25 artists all over the world and the local artists, and give them opportunity to stay for a month in Bhubaneswar and respond to the city. And this edition of the art trail called uh, navigation is offline, and we explore multiple dimensions of memory and history and navigation, and we selected a lot of private space, public space, and installed our artwork even inside the temple. That never been happened, inside the Cyber temple.
I think this was a great initiative. To end up, I will say that slowly, with whatever we are seeing in the country, the spiritual is slowly disappearing from the religions of the world. And perhaps the spiritual can only be found in arts. And it is very apt that it actually took art to the temples. Very few artists give back the way you are doing. You still go back to Bhubaneswar and you have this urge to do something back for the city which created you. And thank you very much. I wish lots more artistic initiative, inspiration from you, and contribute to sort of taking art to the public. Thank you very much.
I would say thank you to you, that the great initiative you are doing for Goa and for the country. It's really, really yes up to you. So,
Thank you very much. Thank you.